Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football, a Love Story, and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books.
Welcome to Football Game Plans Talking with TD. I'm your host, Teron Davenport.
We are going to continue the Talking with TD series. This is one that I really am happy to do because I'm a PSAC guy. We're going to bring in a PSAC guy. For those of you who don't know, that's the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, the best conference in Division II. East Stroudsburg wide receiver Jon Schnaars. Jon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm glad to get you on here, talk a little shop. You know, a fellow PSAC guy. I started out at Dell State and then transferred to Cheney. So I spent some time in the PSAC. So I definitely can attest to the level of competition there.
Yeah, I mean, day in, day out, you have to work your butt off in the games. I mean, you never got an easy one, and you see players coming out of there every year.
One of the things that I've always noticed about the PSAC and East Stroudsburg in particular, you guys have always had really good passing teams. And obviously, as a wide receiver, that's something that benefits you. Talk a little bit about how you were used at East Stroudsburg and what allowed you to put up the numbers that you put up.
I came in playing slot receiver because we had older guys on the outside. And then, just each year I played a different position. And, I played all over the offense. It was great, like you said. Great passing offense. Our coaches really loved to air the ball out. And, just watching the receivers that were before me, I learned little things from them because they were both a little different from me, learning from them. And then my senior year, I was the top guy. They had me backside most of the time, and if they weren't doubling me, our quarterback would just check and go to me every time. We had a great offense, so the numbers weren't all from me. The quarterback was outstanding. They had a great line, giving them time, running back other receivers. But, I just trained as hard as I could, especially this summer, like living up at school, and, it showed up in the stats.
So, obviously, at the D2 level, not a lot of people have seen your game. I've watched a few of your games, actually. I like the game against Millersville. That was an outstanding game. But just to describe what it is that you bring to the table, how would you let those who haven't seen you play know what it is that you're able to do on the football field?
It's just every time you see me play, you just see a tough physical receiver out there. I may not be the strongest, fastest guy out there, but when that ball's up in the air, you're not going to see someone go after it harder than I do. I've worked on my hands since I was little. Always had great hands. My body control is really one of the things that I've heard is one of my best aspects, like keeping myself in bounds, knowing when to jump, using my body to shield off the defender. And just overall, I feel like I play a position with a defensive mindset. And I'm trying to knock the corner down anytime I'm not getting the ball. I love blocking. My coaches push that into me and make me love it. And then even when I do get the ball, if you're going to tackle me, you're going to feel some pain too. So I'm not going to make it easy on you. I'm going to try to run you over. I'm going to try to throw your head into the ground. It's just the guys I've watched that I try to emulate, like Steve Smith. I just love the way they play, and I try to do that day in and day out.
Yeah, you mentioned that aggressive attitude, and that's something that Steve Smith brings to the table for sure. I had the pleasure of covering the Ravens the last 2 years, and man, Steve Smith, he brings it in practice as well as in the game. So that's the attitude that you want to have. Just looking at some of the pro days you took part in, you took part in Villanova's pro day. You ran some routes at Penn State's pro day, and I understand that you caught footballs from a pretty decent quarterback out there. Is that right?
Yeah, Hackenberg's agent actually reached out to mine and asked me to be one of his personal receivers since they didn't have any coming out. It was pretty special being there because they really haven't had people outside of the Penn State program there. And it was tough not being able to test and do any of those there. But I got to do what I do best, and that's run routes and catch balls in front of the whole league. And I really showed them that I got that game speed they're looking for, and I caught everything that was in it.
John, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You when you go to the next level, you're going to play football. You're not going to be in shorts and T-shirts, running around cones and being timed running 40 yards. So it's good that you did get to go out there and catch the football and show them that that's what you could do. What was some of the feedback that you got back from the scouts and personnel folks? I know there were a lot there to see Hackenberg, and I'm sure they got pleasantly surprised with what you were able to do.
Well, I mean, some of the guys that didn't know who I was at first were like, well, who's this guy that they brought in catching football for him? And, I mean, I love that. I love being the underdog. I've been that all my life. I mean, had the chip on my shoulder. And then the feedback that they said to my agent is just he runs very crisp routes. I mean, he catches everything in sight. And, I mean, that's exactly what I wanted to prove. I know my 40 is not going to wow anybody, but, I mean, like you said, you're never running 40 yards in a straight line. And for them to say that I had football speed and game speed, I mean, really made me feel good because that's what I've been focusing on, and that's what I show on my film.
As far as the route tree is concerned, what routes did you specialize in at East Stroudsburg, and what would you say is your money route as far as, what you would want to do is the game's on the line, it's 3rd and 12, and you need the first down. What's your route you go to, and what were some of the other routes you did at East Stroudsburg?
I mean, we ran every route under the sun at East Stroudsburg. I mean, our coach didn't want to be one-dimensional. I mean, we had routes where we would convert on different things depending on how the defense was, and even my senior year, he gave me pretty much free run to run what me and my quarterback saw out there. But, I mean, even if you would ask my offensive coordinator, the route that I really made mine was either a deep slant, which is I was just gaining on the guy and break whichever way inside I wanted, or what we called, well, I'm not going to tell you what it's called. I don't want to tell anything, but it was a post corner, and that built off of that. And, I mean, anytime they gave me one-on-one, or even if they had a safety over top, but he was a little too far inside, I mean, I just would turn the corner's hips the whole way, and he'd be running towards the hash, and I'd run outside. And, I mean, I can't even tell you how many 3rd and 4th downs we ran that on. And, I mean, they knew it was coming sometimes, but, I mean, I broke on the post so well and really just tried to disguise each route as the same thing. They couldn't bite on it. I mean, that was our moneymaker. But you want to talk about, we ran hitches, slants, comebacks, corners, corner posts, deep digs, shallow digs, crossing routes. I mean, you name it, we ran it there. And, I mean, from playing inside and outside, I got to run everything. So, I mean, I'm very comfortable running any route.
Isn't it crazy how you could use the misdirection in those post corners, or, you're running the post and you just give them that subtle lean to the corner and cut it back inside? It's crazy how you can move the corner without even, having any contact with them, right?
No, I mean, it's great, and especially going against guys that might be faster than me, I try to use that to my advantage and get them going too far one way. And, I mean, my change of direction is probably one of the better things I have, especially in the testing numbers. Like, I ran a 4.03 in my shuttle, and
nice.
That's where it really shows up, the in and out of breaks and everything, and I just try to use that to my advantage.
Now, you mentioned playing in the slot. Now, your size, what are you, about 6'2", 6'3", is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the size that a lot of teams will want in the slot. There's been a move towards going the power slot, so to speak. Now, just to expand upon just the toughness and the mindset that you have to have when you're playing the slot, because I know in the slot you're catching the football, and oftentimes you have that linebacker there, you have that safety coming down on you. You have to catch the ball in traffic. Talk about the mindset that you have to have in order to do that more consistently.
Well, I mean, the mindset is you're playing football. I mean, you're going to get hit, and what I've thought about since I started playing football, man, you're going to get hit either way. I mean, if you drop the ball, the corner, safety, linebacker is not going to pull up. I mean, even with the new rules they have, if they're close enough, they're going to rock you. So, I mean, if you're going to get hit, you might as well catch the ball. And I know sometimes you'll see a guy gator arming after he's been hit before, but, I mean, my quarterback trusted me that I was going to get the ball, and I trusted him. He wasn't going to get killed. He might get me knocked to the ground pretty hard, but, I mean, I was going to get hit either way. So, I mean, I was going to catch the ball and be able to protect myself. If not, I mean, I'd work on my grip strength enough that I'm going to hold on to it. And, I mean, just going back to what I always try to do, I know I'm trying to hurt the defender, and not hurt him, but I'm trying to inflict pain anytime I can. So I know they're going to try to do the same thing to me. So.
You mentioned the trust factor, and obviously that's something that you and Matt Schultz has had. I mean, you guys connected very often, you know, and was one of the more prolific combinations, duos in PSAC history, and that's a fact. When was it that you really realized that you guys had something special, and how did you develop that chemistry that you guys were able to develop?
Well, I mean, it started just when me and him came in and redshirted. We played scout team, and the defensive coaches would give us, plays to run, and sometimes we'd have to run 2 or 3 times, and the defense would try to jump it. So, I mean, we got yelled at this for a lot, but me and Schultz would just, come up with a little hand signal, make a little change for the route, and end up scoring on, like, our start defense. And, I mean, that would piss them off that these freshmen are coming in. But, I mean, that's where it started. And then really me and his junior year, we were in the film room all the time. We had a bunch of classes together, so we were always together. And then the summer going into my senior year, we stayed up and we painted for the campus. And, I mean, we were together literally every day for 8 hours, and we would go to lift right after, and then we'd go to throw after we would lift. So, I mean, we were spending 11, 12 hours together, and, I mean, we didn't live in the same house, but we were 2 streets away from each other, so we were there outside of football. And, I mean, it really showed because our coaches gave us free reign to do basically what we wanted, backside of plays. And, as a defense, you can't really hone in on that because you can't look in at our coaches' signals because sometimes we wouldn't even have a signal. We would just know what we wanted to run at a certain time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a lot of people that haven't played the game, even that have played the game but haven't played receiver, they don't understand how that bond between you and your quarterback could really help out, man. So I'm glad you mentioned that. As far as getting to East Stroudsburg, I mean, this is a school that, as we started with, it's known for its passing game. How did you end up there out of high school?
I actually didn't really get recruited anywhere else. I had local Division III schools from around my area. They would come in, and our head coach in high school would have a couple of the seniors just sit down and talk to them, but it's not like they were coming there just to talk to you. It was a group of people. And East Stroudsburg had come in and talked to a few of us, and then I was kind of upset that I wasn't really getting any interest. And then Coach Mike Terwilliger, our offensive coordinator, gave me a call and said, listen, like, we're not really offering a scholarship, but we want you to walk on, and we want you to come up for a visit. So I went up, fell in love with the place. Saw their offense, and my high school might have thrown the ball 6-7 times a game. And he told me that they just had a monsoon their last spring game and threw the ball 58 times still. So I was like, okay, well, this is definitely a type of offense that I would play for.
No doubt.
And, it's been great ever since. It's the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, it definitely was a wise decision. And look at that. You go from a guy who wasn't heavily recruited to a preferred workout partner at Penn State and then on to the next level. So speaking of the next level, what's next for you? I know the draft period is coming up. We're a couple days away, and after that you have the free agency thing, the high priority free agent. If you're not drafted, I'm sure that you'll be a high priority free agent. How has the process been for you, and what would you say is next?
The process has been great. People I've talked to have compared it to basically being like the college recruiting thing again. And, since I didn't really do that, this is like the first time going, finding an agent, picking one that you and your family like. I feel like I made a right decision on that, and then going through the workouts, pro days, combines. It was nice to finally get done with all those and just focus on football. But then once all that's done, all you can think about is when the draft's coming up. And I've heard different things, and I'm trying to keep my mind off of it. But this week I've literally been more nervous than I think I ever have in my whole life. But, I mean, come draft weekend, I'm just going to be hanging out with my best friends and my family. Nothing crazy, but just if that opportunity does come up, I want to share it with the same people that have pushed me and drove me my whole life to get to the point where I am now. And, I mean, I think that would just be a great experience.
And who knows, maybe you can end up reuniting with your quarterback somewhere. I'm sure that would be an awesome feat to be able to do.
I think East Stroudsburg would blow up if that happened.
Imagine that. Now, just before I let you go, you mentioned Steve Smith earlier. I always like to ask the guys, just growing up, if there was a particular team that you watched, and also if there was a particular player that you kind of pattern your game after, or you see similarities between his game and your game.
Well, I grew up, and I still am a Raiders fan, have been, and my favorite player growing up was Randy Moss, which I even got the name pegged to me my senior year of high school. They called me Randy Schnaars to get my last name mixed in with it. But, I mean, as far as a player, there weren't as many similarities between me and him as there were with, I literally think I try to play like Steve Smith every time. I mean, I know we're a different build and everything, and he's faster than I am, but I mean, just the way he plays, I mean, I love it, and you're going to get 110% out of him every play. I don't care how old he is. I don't care if he's injured. I don't care what the type of game he's been having. He's literally coming at you 110%, and ever since I started playing in second grade, I mean, I've had that same mentality, and I know corners hate me because I've talked to some of them, seeing them throughout this process and reaching out to them. They hate me during the games, but the biggest compliment I've ever gotten from an opponent is that they respect me at the end of the game. I mean, I'm not there to be liked, but I am there to be respected, and that's the greatest thing I could hear from my opponents.
That's awesome. So there you have it. East Stroudsburg wide receiver Jon Schnaars. You guys need to keep up with him. Jon, let them know where they can find you on Twitter or any social media, and this way they can get more familiar with you.
My Twitter is Jon Schnaars 5. My first and last name and number 5, and then I'm on Instagram, Randy Schnaars 10. Don't really go on Facebook too much, just every now and then, but I mean, I love Twitter, so I'm on that a little bit, so you can find me there.
There you have it, Jon. I appreciate you coming on, and definitely look forward to what you have in store in the future. Wish you the best with it, and want to get back with you as the process continues to go on.
Yeah, I thank you for your time, and I appreciate everything.
No problem. Take care. Have a good one, man.
That wraps up this edition of Talking with TD. Be sure to check out all of my interview segments at footballgameplan.com/talkingwithtd. If you have any questions or people you want me to sit down with, hit me up on Twitter at @TDavenport_NFL.